Next, we're going to do the same thing for example B, so you get another opportunity to look at this. We're going to open this up. And again, this spreadsheet looks a little bit different than the last one that we looked at. And we're going to scroll over here. Oh, we opened data B and not the corrected version that we created. So let's go ahead and open up the corrected version. This is the one we've been working with. There we go. And we can see down here we have class period 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we have % mastery on this assessment for each of those class periods. And we created this using filters and formulas in part 2 of the series. So if you need a refresher on how we did that, please go ahead and revisit that video. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. This time I'm going to show you how you can insert the chart into the already existing spreadsheet. So rather than highlighting and copying and pasting this into a brand new spreadsheet, I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. So the first thing that I did is I made sure that I highlighted the data that I wanted included. It's important that you have the labels as well so that Excel knows what these numbers mean. If you highlight just the numbers, it's not going to have the automatic labels that go with it. So just make sure that you go ahead and highlight those as well. We're going to head up here to Insert. We're going to insert a chart. Now for this one, I think there is one more chart option that would make sense. So the first one, columns and bars, would allow us to compare the 4 different class periods right next to each other. However, because class periods usually fall within time periods of a day, I think that a line graph would also be an appropriate choice for this one if you wanted to view the progression of scores throughout the course of a day. So let's go ahead and just take a look at this for comparison's sake so we're seeing multiple examples of charts. And again, you see once you click on line, there are 7 different options. You can make it with a 3D visual effect down here. You can actually show the dots for each, or you can have it like this. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. I'm going to click next. It's going to show you a sample. This is what we want it to look like. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And now we're going to have a chance to label it. So I'm going to label it again, student achievement data. And I'm going to say throughout the day. I'm going to go ahead and add the categories here for the x-axis. We're going to look at class period. Again, I feel like this is a bit redundant because it's going to say class period right down there. We can go ahead and delete it once we look at this, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Y-axis, we're going to say % mastery on final assessment. Okay, and once I've done that, and you'll see that it added it in there right here once I type those up so that you're beginning to see what the sample looks like. And again, you have more formatting options up here. So you can go through and change some of these things as you want. Again, it says major grid lines. If you want to show the minor ones, it's going to add the smaller ones in between. And you can also show them here, major and minor. And that just breaks it down and makes it a little bit more clear. Totally up to you and how you want to format it. Legend, this is where it's going to explain what it means and it shows you where it's going to be placed. Data labels and data table. To be honest with you, I rarely use these because the chart wizard automatically gives you the things that you need right up front. However, you do have the options to go and play around with some of the formatting. Okay, we're going to go back to titles and we're going to say next. And again, we have the option to create it as a new sheet or as an object in, and we're going to create as an object in this one. And there it is. Just like last time, it's put it in the same spreadsheet with all of our other data. And this one, because it's a line graph, it's going to show us the progression from first period to second period, third period, and then back down. Again, we don't need that, so we're going to go ahead and delete it. You see now that we've created labels for X and Y axis, we can go ahead and edit them just like we did with the title in the previous example. Or you can delete it if you change your mind about wanting to include that or needing to include it. Okay, so now we've created another chart, exactly like last time. If you want to go ahead and put this into a Word document with any other writing that you've put together explaining your student achievement data, again, you just go ahead and right-click or control-click on a Mac, copy. You're going to open up Microsoft Word, and you're going to go ahead and paste. And again, you have that chart in a Word document as well. Okay, and go ahead and close that out. We're going to look at one more example. I'm going to close out sample set B. I'm going to save that one so we have the chart in there. And then I'm going to open up data C. Okay, and so here we took a look at class period as well as race. And remember, when we first opened this one up, there was a lot of data here that had the question answers. And you can see that we've hidden that information there. Again, you can always retrieve that at any time by highlighting, right-click, and you can just choose to unhide. And all that information is going to come back. There it is. Okay. Again, it makes it a bit simpler to look at once we hide that. So I'm going to re-hide it again. We're going to take a look at just the data that we want to use to present here. Okay. So we took a look at class period and race. For this one, the example that we did was race. And so you see here down at the bottom, once we use the formulas to summarize the averages for each race, we then input that information down here to make it pretty simple. This is the data that we're going to use to go ahead and create a graph. So I'm going to start by highlighting only this data, and I'm going to make sure to include the labels. I'm going to say insert chart. For this one, we're comparing two or more things. It isn't over a period of time, so I'm just going to say column. This one, let's do one with a 3D visual effect to see a different example. I'm going to say next. This should all look really familiar. Showing us an example here. That looks right. Next, chart title, student achievement data. On the x-axis, we have student race. Now here it says that there isn't a y-axis because we're looking at a 3D version. It's going to call that the z-axis. And so we're going to say that is % mastery on final assessment. Okay. We're going to say next. Now we're going to have the option as object in, which we've done twice now, or as a new sheet. And I'm going to show you what it looks like when we do that. I'm going to say finish, and it's created a brand new sheet with just this on there. You'll see that this appears when you look down here at the tabs. Sheet 1 is where all our data came from. Sheet 2 and sheet 3 happen to be blank on the spreadsheet, and it created one called chart 1, and that's going to be where your chart is. Okay. Again, you can select it, and we can go ahead and nope, it looks like we don't have the option to copy from here. So that's actually something important to notice. If it creates it into a new sheet in your spreadsheet, I'm sorry, in your workbook, you won't have the option to copy and paste it into Word. So if you do want to put it into Word, make sure that you're selecting the option to include the sheet in this original page. Okay. But again, that's done the same way. And if you want to include it in the same workbook and just a separate sheet, that would be the option to do that. Okay. And again, you can format it here. You can delete that. We can edit or delete these later, just like we did before. So everything else is the same. The only difference is that here we won't have the option of cutting and pasting. Okay. Okay, so that was creating charts. Again, it's very user-friendly. If you need a refresher, please go back and review this video again. But usually if you're remembering to insert the chart, it's going to walk you right through that process. It's very easy to recreate it, so if you make a mistake along the way, don't hesitate to just delete that chart and start over. As you saw, it takes about a total of 30 seconds to a minute to go through and create a chart. So before you're finishing out, just check with yourself and make sure the two objectives for this part 3 of the Teacher U Excel tutorial for Macs. First one, teachers will be able to select and manipulate appropriate data that they would like displayed in a chart. And secondly, teachers will be able to create and format charts to most appropriately display selected data. So now's a great time to stop this video, to open up your student achievement data, look at the data that you've already filtered and summarized with formulas, and now take an opportunity to play around with some different charts and try displaying that in a visual way. And I would also try copying and pasting those charts into a Microsoft Word document to make sure you feel comfortable with that.